Would help if hi folks. I think it's starting to become a weekly thing where I accidentally screw something up. Welcome to the Squirt, another edition of the Squirt Likes, folks. I'm your friendly neighborhood soda. I need to cut back on something here. And as usual, joined by my Bobby the Brain Heenan, Dustyn the Butte Man. How are you doing?
I'm definitely the brain today because I just watched you fuck that up royally.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I just saw the go live thing, and then I just saw you sit there for a second or two. I'm like, I'm waiting for the intro there, soda. But
and it was me. I'm like, oh shit.
We are professionals here.
Yep,
it's what we do,
folks. Oh yeah, this is so much fun. Oh my god,
that's so funny. Well, how are you, good sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Just finished watching a decent AEW Dynamite. Like, it was good. I wouldn't put it up in the best. I will have to go back and watch the opener, which was Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, because they like to put the best matches on first, and I'm off work when the show starts. So
yeah. I heard it was good. A buddy of mine was watching it and said it was good.
Yeah, I caught the end of it, and it from what I saw, it definitely, they went old school with it. Like, they
not a surprise.
They did a Bret Hart Owen Hart match from the '94, right? Mm-hmm. And the ladder match at the end was pretty great, but it was great in a different way from the Cody Sammy ladder match we had. Like, that was just a phenomenal match. This one was really good in terms of what they did in the ring, plus the storyline furthering of that was involved in it. Like, I based off what happened tonight, I'm expecting a third and final match at the end of what we're going to get: Paige Van Zandt and probably Scorpio Sky versus Sammy and Tay. So I can see the very final thing being for the TNT title.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then of course I'm really liking the Jericho Appreciation Society, Eddie Kingston and Proud and Powerful stuff. Oh man. Eddie got a little real today because Jericho said they were going to put a hit on them, and then he's like, well, where I come from, you better put somebody in the grave. And as he's saying this, Jericho is in his chair. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Jericho's sitting in his chair, and as Eddie's in his face with the microphone going forward, Jericho is like leaning back into comically like into the chair. And then when Eddie's done, he walks away. Jericho's got this look on his face like, oh, I fucked up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're totally leaning into the sports entertainment stuff, and it's working for me.
I can live with that. I like the fact that at least they put it into like a character and a story arc.
Yeah,
and that makes me fine.
You got that little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your indie wrestling. You've got your, well, you've always kind of had it, but now you really have your sports entertainment, and you've got your young stars, you've got your old legends. Like, it's a little bit of everything.
It is. They just, yeah. It's good right now. I've been out for the last couple of weeks, so I'm.
It's slayed me. Today they debuted this new opening before Judas, which I mentioned to you before.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you remember, like, it's from the pay-per-views of like the late 80s, where it's just like the World Wrestling Federation, the leader. Well, they did that, but it's like the Jericho Appreciation Society, the leader, but it was that Matt Maynard guy doing it, and
that's clever.
That's
pretty good. And again, if Jericho's going to lean into that, I'm totally about it. I'm all about it being leaned into as a character and like making it a story arc for his and it makes sense. Being Jericho totally works. Like, he's the ultimate.
Having those three with them, who are known to be those goofballs from if you've ever seen their stuff when they were Ever Rise, it fits. Just right now, the only one that's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb is Jack Hager.
You know.
Because
I always say that the roster's too big.
Yeah.
He could go.
He's just basically their muscle. Like, I mean,
but
his character hasn't really changed.
He wears a polo half the time. And I'm just like, you're the muscle. You look ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, Hager needs to go. Find someone else.
Kind of even the odds against the other three.
Well, it just kind of feels like, and that's been pointed out to plenty by AEW, and since last fall, AEW got some big name stars, So when you have Bryan, Punk, Cole, and all these people coming in, Keith Lee, the stars that they signed 2 years ago that were big, quote unquote, in the WWE, Shawn Spears, Jake Hager, they're just not.
I'm actually not going to lie, Shawn Spears, I'm enjoying him because I'm watching what he's been doing with. Here's where I'm going with this, though. I don't. It's not him I'm enjoying. I'm just enjoying the role he's in. If that makes more sense. Watching him and MJF together, it reminds me of Piper and Orton.
Oh yeah, kind of.
That's what it reminds me of. So I'm like, okay, if I look at it like that, I'm digging it.
Sure. Yeah, and I would say Spears is maybe at the best he's been, but I mean, I even thought a year ago. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
we
Sean Spears,
got
Ty
it.
Dillinger. He's good in the ring, but he's just never done it for me.
No. It is going to be interesting next year when these contracts fully start coming up.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if and now it seems like the independent wrestling scene is healthy enough that I think a lot of those people are going to, they're just going to let their contract expire and then take apply elsewhere, which I'm perfectly okay with.
Hey, I've one thing I've always said about like when people like take the AEW out of the equation, they've only been around for 3 years, but like anybody who gets fired from the WWE, everybody gets all mad about it. I'm like these guys are made forever. They are now officially WWE superstar. They can get paid $3,000 to fly to Boise, Idaho, to wrestle a 8-minute match in some VFW and sell merch. They'll make $5,000 that day.
Yeah, but a lot of them just want to wrestle, right?
Depends on who you are.
That's true.
Not the inspiration.
Yeah, no, which I dig. I really dig that today. But yeah, no, the people who are going to be leaving AEW, and there's going to be people leaving AEW. I think they're going to be okay because they're going to go to places like GCW or MLW or God knows who. I mean, hell, even Ring of Honor now. Like there is Ring of Honor too, so you could move some of that talent there. Like that's what happened with Brian Cage.
Right, and give it 2 years. I mean, I think in 2 years we'll get over the fact of like what AEW star is going to WWE. It won't be a thing anymore because it's just going to be expected. They're going to do it.
The only it's different when it was back in the day when it was like WCW, WWE, because you knew WCW, their ship was sinking. So it's like, okay, which rat is going to be leaving the sinking ship this time, right?
Right.
Like that was the excitement built into that. But now we've got two healthy companies. So yeah, it's more like, oh, who are they going to get next instead of like, oh, who's going to be leaving the sinking ship?
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be interesting just to see. I think now that hopefully AEW's roster is so big, now they're finally becoming a little more selective on the signings, which is good. Hopefully Tony can stick with that. And I have to admit, for being a huge Cesaro guy, I'm kind of glad he hasn't shown up on TV already. Because I would, even as a guy that I like, I'm just like, good God, you don't have to take everyone. It's kind of nice. Again, if I'm Cesaro, I just was in the WWE for 10 years.
Oh,
I'm gonna go home and take my millions and maybe sit on the beach for a couple days.
And I mean, he's probably around 40, I would assume.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I mean, take a break for a bit. He earned it.
Yeah.
And if anything, I wouldn't be surprised if he came back for Ring of Honor because he was a staple there back in the day.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with all of that.
Yeah, I think that would actually probably be the best fit for him because he could, help mentor the next generation, but still have really banger matches with these other independents people. Yeah. So I think that would be the best fit for him.
Again, the only thing I'm going to say is the issue with Ring of Honor is there's already so much wrestling. There's already so much out there. That's another hour of wrestling that people have to watch. I mean, that's a lot. It adds up. I mean,
it does. That's really why I don't watch WWE stuff unless I got nothing else to do.
Yeah, it gets to be exhausting as fans. It's hard to keep up with. Adding another American show is going to be a tough sell, I think.
Right, but I don't think it's going to be on network TV like AEW or WWE.
I would hope not. I mean, it's time to find a streaming service.
Exactly. I think that's what it's going to be. And now that with the whole Warner Discovery thing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like they're high on putting another wrestling show on. I think they're good with what they got based off the. So, it'll be interesting. Well, what we got coming up? What in 10 days? No, Backlash isn't this weekend, is it? It's next weekend.
Actually, good question. WrestleMania back. We're so prepared, folks.
We are not.
It is. That's 8. There we go.
2 weeks.
Yeah, next weekend, May 8th.
Okay. So
a little early on this, but for this Cycle's top 10. Dustin and I are going to be doing our top 10 WrestleMania rematches because, believe it may seem like WWE does a lot of those rematches now, but actually it's been going on for basically since the advent of the 12 pay-per-views, folks.
Yeah.
It just I think there's more matches now every year than there was, but they've always been doing that.
Yeah. Well, and this is proof. I mean, for the last 20 years, rematches have not been. I don't understand when the thesis, when people started getting so mad at rematches. I don't really understand when this started.
Honestly, I think it's just been within the last few years when people are just starting to point out things more and bitch about things more.
Maybe. Yeah, because we do like to bitch, including myself. We do like to bitch about wrestling. Not everybody's the most happy-go-lucky wrestling fan like yourself.
Right.
So,
but if I'm being honest, though, it's just I think it's also probably the overabundance of rematches we do get every year. Like back in the day, like I went through every card going back from 1998, and there was maybe one, maybe two rematches for a long time. Right now, I think we're at 4 already announced, and the show's only still 2 weeks away. And WrestleMania back in the day was the season finale, so to speak. Now it doesn't feel like that. So I think that's also part of the discontent is people are like, well, WrestleMania is not the finale anymore. Now it's called WrestleMania Backlash, and it's just like, little much.
I at least appreciate it this year how there's some rematches on the card, but it's not all of them.
Yes.
That was like, 2 years ago when they first pinned it. It was like, I'm pretty sure every match on the thing was a rematch.
I think it was last year. Last year was the first one under the WrestleMania Backlash name.
Yeah, that's right. The first 2020 during the pandemic, they kind of started pushing it, but they didn't change the name yet. Yeah, because this year I know they have quite a few on there, but there is some different stuff, which is at least nice.
Yeah, but that's not why we're here, folks. We're here to talk about our favorites in the past. This has been a lot of fun. Oddly enough, I wasn't able to actually get them any honorable mentions this week.
Really, I have 3, but they're all for mediocre reasons. I would assume our list will have a lot of the same stuff.
Probably.
It's just where they fit is going to be interesting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because even when you brought up the list, I knew my number 1 right away.
Me too.
Because I've always thought about it.
Me too, and I'm wondering if it might be the same number 1.
It could be.
It could be.
It's a good one.
It all depends on how we went into building our list because let's see, one for sure. Yeah, two of my picks. The WrestleMania match wasn't a 1-on-1, but the next match was. But the way it was designed, everyone remember in the first match, everyone remembers these 2 specifically.
Sure.
Or for example, of one, these 2 were the main feud going in, but it was a multi-man match.
Got it. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You know where I'm going with
this.
I
also had troubles with when I was thinking about it and I was looking up some articles and stuff of there were some that people were saying, I don't know, just in some of the articles I was reading, they were like, this is better than their Mania match. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just not. The Mania match was good. And I don't want to kill, maybe I'll talk about it after, but there's one glaring one that I saw in multiple articles I was reading. And they were like, this is better than the Mania match. And the whole time I'm like, no, it's not.
I'm not going to lie. I've got 3 that I would say are.
I trust me. I would say I have a couple too. I fully agree. But there's one that's sticking out. So it'll be interesting to see if you say it, which I don't think you will.
Well, let's get right into it then.
You can start her off doing top 10 rules, I'm assuming.
Doing top 10 rules. Who's going to be keeping this, writing this down at the end?
I can if you want me to stand up, unless you have a pen.
Nope. You know what? We'll just type it in the chat and then we'll announce it that way.
Look at that. There you go.
All right. Okay. So to start it off, my number 10 is from Extreme Rules 2013, the Steel Cage match, Triple H versus Brock Lesnar.
Oh yeah, I don't have that one. That's a good one.
This is a good one because it's Triple H did not go over. And it was a brutal match, which they've been having up to that point. Because I'm not mistaken, this was the final one. And yeah, these 2 had I really liked their chemistry, their intensity going into their matches. Was it the best of their set? No, but it was still pretty good. It was a good.
Excuse me. That's the one where Brock beats the shit out of Triple H. It's in the cage, right?
Yeah, it's in the cage. Yeah,
that's why I always remember because that match is pretty brutal. I mean, they really go at it. That couple little feud. So we've talked Brock a lot on this. There's that like year and a half period where he did them Triple H and Taker matches.
Mm-hmm.
And those really get lost in the shuffle of the Brock thing. Because it's like, if you look at it, there was the early when he first returned with Cena, and he dominated him and he got the title. Then there was this
later. That was later.
Oh, that's right. That's actually after that. That's actually after that, yeah.
That's after that, yeah.
I always think it's earlier. So then, like, they had this little, like, the Triple H stuff. That stuff is always forgotten when talking Brock because, like, people just think of the Cena stuff. They think of the Roman stuff. They think of the little, like, year where he wrestled all the small guys.
But also think about it. Brock's been back for 10 years already.
Isn't that crazy?
I know. It just feels like yesterday when you heard his music for the first time in years.
I remember being at my, like, first house I lived with my current wife in, watching that Raw. Crazy.
Yeah,
that's a good match, though.
Yeah, no, that's like I said, not the best of their series, but still a decent match. Like I don't think out of their set there was a bad one, but this is
that's one I wouldn't have even thought about, but that's a good one. That's a good pick.
Okay, what is your number 10?
My number 10 is like I always say, it's only for the. It's not because it's a good match. I actually don't think it's a good match, but I think it's for the point behind it, and that is Rock Cena 2. Because it's a rematch at a WrestleMania a year later.
See, I never looked at it that way. So it's on the list.
See, that's why I did it. I actually think the first one is 300 times better than this match.
Everyone's in agreement with that, but
it's bad
mostly because Rock hurt himself in the last one.
He did. He got hurt, and like just everything about it, it really felt like Roman Brock this year, where there was a lot of hype, a lot of build. Shit happens.
Yeah.
Brock got beat up in this one. Roman got beat up in this one. Audibles, deal with it. It almost was, actually, now that you say it, it's almost the same thing. Because that's what happened. Cena and Rock did all their 5 moves of doom each. And then they reversed them all. Then they kicked out of them all. And then eventually somebody won.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a bad
match. But the reason why I liked it is because it's a rematch from a year prior. From a WrestleMania match to a WrestleMania. That was the only reason why I thought. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like,
yeah, and that you know what? That definitely falls in the criteria because the last match between these two was a year prior. So
exactly.
Hey, yeah, exactly. And the stakes were higher and all that stuff. Just unfortunately, it was like a wet fart in church.
Yeah, it was. They just didn't get that. They didn't. The spark wasn't there that they thought was going to be. Like, it worked once, and they thought, oh, we could do it again, and it just. I even remember going into it. I didn't think it was. It didn't feel it. You didn't have that feeling anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But, it's the same like if they did that with Austin this year. If they were like, well, next year, Austin's taking on a new challenger. You'd be like, okay, I don't need this.
Yeah, it's just, well, I think also what kind of ruined it was the first one was promoted as once in a lifetime.
That's true. Yeah, it was.
Next year, twice in a lifetime.
Twice in a lifetime. Yeah. Okay, that's all right. I didn't think you would have that one. But.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it didn't really cross my mind because, like I said, I was mostly focusing on, like, the first month after. But, I mean, that honestly does fall right into the criteria, like I said.
Yeah, pretty much all the rest of them are in that way.
Yeah.
I saw a couple that maybe are a little off, but yeah.
Okay, so my number 9 is the second in a trilogy of matches that had WrestleMania, Backlash, and my personal favorite, which was at Vengeance. This is Batista versus Triple H from Backlash 2005. Like I said,
that's a good one.
What I find interesting about this trilogy is the matches get better. The first one was good, but it was okay. The second one was also pretty good, but then the third one, when you got to the Hell in a Cell, that's the one you should go watch. But yeah, no, the continuation of this feud in the second match was a lot of fun because you're like, back then, you're like, oh, okay, you're in the right of terror. Is Triple H going to get his title back? Like, how long is Batista's reign going to be? No, he blanked over clean 3 straight pay-per-views to Batista. When was the last time you could say that happened?
Everybody thought Batista was going to give that belt back to Triple H. Nobody believed it. And I do remember that Mania match being a clunker.
Yeah.
By the way, I remember watching it. I remember going, "This is brutal. This is not great."
Yeah, I wouldn't go with it was brutal, but I would say like you could tell Batista's got a ways to go.
Yeah, but it got so much better. You're so right. I do remember the two matches that I remember the two matches that followed better than the Mania match.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
And that Hell in a Cell match is really good. That
Batista wearing white.
Yeah. Better than blue.
That's true.
Not
That's
blue.
true.
Again, another, I think, and again, another guy we've talked about a lot on this show is Triple H. Another guy who that little period in there seems to fall off the radar, because Triple H was really good in that time.
Yeah, because this was the end. Basically, this was the end of the Reign of Terror, is with the Batista trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting to know. Yeah, I didn't think of when it ended, but that makes total sense.
Because think about it, like everyone's like, "Oh, Triple H always burying people to go on shovel, whatever." But actually, if you take a look at it, his win-loss record at WrestleMania isn't the best.
Was he won like 3 times or something? He's like 3 and 12.
More than you think, and especially in the last number of years, he's been putting over a lot of people. So I mean, I think that's one. I think people give Triple H too much shit sometimes. Yeah. Yes, maybe he should have not had the title the whole time during the Reign of Terror. Should Booker T have won the title? Well, fuck yeah. But no, I think people do give him a little bit too much shit sometimes, especially when it comes to he's paying back to the business.
Yeah, I got a Triple H one later, which I think's on your list too. So
I've got of course I've got. There's Triple H has a few in my opinion.
So my next one, which again I don't think you have on your list. This is only because it's fun and I feel like it adds up really easy. That's Kane versus Chavo Guerrero. Their rematch from the 8-second ECW title match.
Yeah,
they had a really fun, 12-minute match to follow at Backlash, I believe. The next pay-per-view. It was 2008. It was Backlash.
Yeah, because Extreme Rules didn't become the follow pay-per-view, I think, 2010.
Yes, you're right. It's fun. It's another one that sticks out in my head where I'm like, they did the quick squash of Chavo at Mania, and then they came back on the next pay-per-view, and I rewatched it today because I hadn't watched it in a while.
Okay.
And, man, I forgot. Again, why would you remember? But Chavo was hated at that time. Yeah. Holy shit. I couldn't believe how the crowd at Backlash, it was like the second match on the card, was really into it. They hated Chavo. I don't even know if they like Kane that much, but they really fucking hated Chavo.
So obviously I remember the squash from WrestleMania, but I forgot about this match until I went over the cards last week.
Yeah.
And that's why it's on my list, is I don't remember it.
I do, because I was oddly that WrestleMania. That was one of the matches I was kind of into, because I know that WWE ECW thing was a mess, but there was something about Kane. It kind of fit. It kind of fit. And Chavo was really their top heel over there for about a year. Him and what was the name of his little tag team? Los Familia,
Los Familia or whatever.
Yeah. So it was in the hit of his run. And I remember at that WrestleMania, I was like, I'm kind of pumped to watch Chavo and Kane right now.
Yeah.
And that was when Kane had the half hair, where it was buzz cut and then bald in the front.
Was that? Yeah, when he was maskless, which is, I'm not going to lie, out of all the variations of Kane, his maskless years, still my favorite.
Yeah, and that middle maskless year, too. Yeah. I hated when he started taking on and off. I'm like, I'm over this shit.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. This is when I was into Kane the most, too. Yeah. So, maybe that's why. But it is a fun little match at Backlash to watch for 10 minutes. Great ending. Chavo does does the Eddie Frog splash, and he hits Kane, and Kane just grabs him with the choke.
Nice.
And slams him. It's pretty clever.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give that one a little
for sure. It sounds like a fun match, but like I said, I totally forgot about it until last week.
I mean, no offense, I forgot about your Brock Triple H one too, so it works out.
There you go. Okay, so my number 8, I don't know where this might be on your list. It is the rematch from WrestleMania 23, so this would have been from Backlash 07, I think. It is not Triple H, Undertaker versus Batista.
Oh, yep. That's an honorable mention I have.
Okay. This one, the WrestleMania match, is better, but this is still a pretty serviceable sequel. And this is right. Funnily enough, Batista is was when Undertaker's streak of great WrestleMania matches started, in my opinion. because 22 you had the casket match with Mark Henry, and then the next year you had Undertaker. Why do I keep trying to say Triple H? Undertaker Batista, and then you had Undertaker Edge, and then the 2 Undertaker Michaels, and then the 2 Undertaker Triple H. But this one kind of feels like it gets lost in the shuffle because of what follows. But this is the beginning of his streak of great matches, and for 2 people you are big, beefy brawlers, they had great chemistry together. They really did.
What year was this again?
So this would have been WrestleMania 23. So this would have been 07.
7. That is my favorite 2 years of Batista. Is 06 and 07. It was like the 2 years I was into Batista.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Batista guy, which is why I don't have any Batista matches probably on my list. But that was, I think, the best Batista was. And yeah, Taker got probably, to me, the best matches out of him.
Outside of Triple H? Yeah, I'd agree.
I like Taker and Batista matches. I don't know. It shouldn't work. Like 2 big dudes like that should not be able to make it happen, but they do.
And like, think of the spots they were doing. It's just like, this is stuff Taker usually does with smaller guys.
Exactly. So tell me if you can remember, only because this match doesn't ring a major bell. Why was it good? Why do you have it on your list?
Just because I think they had great chemistry. I really enjoyed watching them, and I don't in my remembrance, because I didn't go back and watch a lot of these. In my remembrance, I don't remember a bad pay-per-view match between these 2. I really don't.
Yeah, me either. No, they were good like that. Yeah, just not a Batista guy. Never got me.
Folks, like if you go on the WWE's YouTube, like it seems like every day they're always there putting on matches, which is fun for me. But this is one that they recently put up, I think. And definitely go check it out. Well, not this one, sorry. The WrestleMania 23 match. Definitely go check that one out. I think this one might be.
I'll have to look that one up. That's one I'll have to remember. Okay, so that's number 8 for you.
Yes, sir.
So my number 8, which you might have on your list, I'm not sure, is 2009's I Quit match with the Hardy Boys. Ooh. It's a great one. That is when they had the match.
That's another one I don't remember. I remember the first one. I actually don't think I've seen this one.
See, this one's really good. And actually, once I say it, it might ring a bell. The finish is great because they do an I Quit match. And they actually have a legit, pretty much non-Hardy style match. Because this is the storyline, remember, where like Matt Hardy's dog gets burned in the house fire. And
it was supposed to be Christian.
It was right. Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, Christian's coming back. Nope, this is Matt.
Yeah. It's a funny storyline. I kind of forgot all about it until I kind of sparked my brain. But it's cool because they really brawl in the match. And because like they kept it going. I think this is, like you said in the beginning, like where, that this is about the time, 2007, 2008, when WWE are using Backlash and Vengeance and Judgment Day to like really hit rematches. So I think they saved so much, but they do the I Quit match and they're like beating the shit out of each other. And it's not Hardy style. It's not major high spots, no ladders. I mean, one comes in at the very end, but like that's not the basis of the match. It's literally like 2 brothers beating the hell out of each other, trying to make the other one I quit. And it gets like more emotional at the end. And finally, Jeff Hardy gets Matt on a table and he ties him to it. So Matt can't move.
Nice.
And he puts the ladder in the corner and Matt's like, he gets the mic. They're like, are you going to say you quit? And Matt's like, Jeff, don't do it. Jeff, do not do this. Don't do it. Don't do it. He's like, fine, I quit. Just don't do it. And I'm like, okay, that's clever. And then, so like Jeff gets off the ladder and then instead of doing the swanton, he does the jump over and crashes on him. And I'm like, This is so good. And I'm like, it is just so good. I always think of the ending. It always sticks with me. And this was another one of the ones when you said this idea, it kind of popped into my head like immediately. I was like, this is one I remember.
I've never seen this because this was before I started watching every pay-per-view.
Yeah, this is kind of your mix. This is kind of your miss spot here.
No, it's not my miss spot, actually. I was watching Raw and I was watching SmackDown every week.
Sure.
At this point, it's just back then I couldn't afford $50 a pay-per-view.
No, sure.
So it wasn't until I started working properly and stuff, and my dad would just let me rent it and I'd pay him back. Sure. That I would start doing it. But I couldn't even tell you when the hell I started watching regularly. But yeah, that's why I never seen this matches because I was watching WWE a lot, but I wasn't watching the pay-per-views.
Sure.
So, but I'm definitely going to go back and check this one out.
This is a great one. You should check it out.
Yeah.
No, I think I had to go to Peacock to watch it. Because that was one I had to rewatch because I remembered parts of it, and this was like one I watched from beginning to end because I'm like, God, this is good. This is fun stuff.
Yeah, I got ways to watch stuff.
That's right. Again, I always forget our borders separate our easy wrestling watching.
No, it's called YouTube. Anyways.
Well, none of three numbers in, and we have not. We have not punted once, Soda. So
this could be interesting.
I'm interested now.
So now we're on number 7, correct?
Yep.
So my number 7 is the rematch of the Triple Threat from WrestleMania 20 at Backlash 04.
See, this is the one that I was talking about earlier because I didn't want to write it on your list. I did not put it on my list because it's just not better. I love the original one. I think it's one of the better ones, better matches at Mania. I don't know.
I agree with you. I think you're right. It's not better, but it's still fun. And like I said, there's a reason I didn't have many honorable mentions because there wasn't that many that were sparking my mind.
Sure.
But what I do like about this is the ending because in WrestleMania, Triple H tapped out. At Backlash, Shawn Michaels
tapped out.
I like that.
Yeah, and it also is, and it is a good match, by the way. I shouldn't say it. But like the hard part is
it's like we were talking earlier, the two Rock Cenas, same idea, except nobody was hurt.
Right. Yeah. Right. The other part is it's really hard to live up to a triple threat and then do the same triple threat with the same three guys a month later.
Especially one that is considered one of the greatest triple threats of all time.
And the other one, like, it had all the things that you want. It had the big moment with Benoit. It had the great triple threat. Got the big one. Had the celebration. So, like, to just do it again. But again, I do like what you said, though. I'm glad you brought it up. Was the switch of like who tapped out? Super clever.
Yeah.
And that time again, and I'm going to talk about it here.
And also one thing that does actually make it more special. It was so. Just to preface this, I think we do it every time we talk about Benoit. We're not talking about the person. We're talking about the wrestler. Okay. One of the things that actually was pretty cool about this was in Benoit's hometown of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. That also makes it a little more special.
Okay. Yeah. Don't remember. Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
I thought it's just so good. It's a great. How should rewatch it? Maybe that's why. Maybe I need a rewatch.
No, I believe not WWE's. I think I might have found it somewhere. But...
Sure. Yeah, I know it's great choice though. I totally understand. It is still shocking they just did that rematch.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, hey, at least we got a few good things out of it. We got a great, Benoit in his hometown, the pay-per-view after winning the title. Like, I mean, while the better parts of the story were going into Mania, this one had a few good things as well. But
yeah. Well, my number 7 also has Benoit in it, and that's 2001 Benoit Angle. The submission match?
Slight punt.
Okay. All right.
First one.
I kind of thought that was coming on that one. Well, I mean, if we're punting, that gives us our 4. So if you want to read yours, go for it.
Okay, so my number 10 is Triple H Lesnar, the cage match main event from Extreme Rules 2013. Number 9 is Batista Triple H from Backlash 2005. Number 8 is Undertaker Batista from Backlash 07. And number 7 is Benoit Shawn Michaels Triple H from Backlash 04.
Yeah, I wish I would have wrote down what pay-per-views, but I got. But number 10 for me, Cena Rock 2. What's that, WrestleMania 30? No, is it even that late? I never remember. You're a better mind at that than I am. You got the I got Kane Chavo Guerrero from 2008. That's Backlash. Hardy Boys I Quit match. That's 2009. So that means that's also Backlash. And then 2001, which is our punt, is the submission match. Slight punt, apparently. With Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit, which hopefully is coming up soon on your list.
It is. It's coming up soon. This is I can't wait to talk about this because this is another one of my favorite. It's kind of God damn you, Benoit, because this is honestly my favorite Benoit feud outside of Jericho. Yeah,
I get it. All right, so you got number 6.
So my number 6 is from Extreme Rules 2012. Which we talked about earlier because it was Brock Lesnar's first pay-per-view match in years in WWE. It is a Chicago street fight for the WWE Championship, CM Punk versus Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah, that's That's an honorable mention one for me too.
Yeah. This was a
I have
really,
it
really good
written right
feud.
there. Yes,
Yes.
it was.
It was a good feud because it played into the sympathetic side of why Punk is straight edge and stuff like that. And I remember the WrestleMania match it was good. Could have been better, of course, but this is the one where it's like this is the one to watch out of the two because it is two guys beating the shit out of each other in CM Punk's hometown for the title.
You know, this is the one thing that I think WWE is hopefully going to start doing a good job of with these WrestleMania backlashes. Is there's always that match on a Mania, and I think we had it this year with Edge and AJ, where we get this big match build up, but it doesn't have a belt. It just it's missing that thing,
Yeah.
right? Which shit happens, you know. Mania is a big thing.
Mhm.
So if you're missing that, those are the matches that we're excited for that always like come a little short, right? That's when you give them the next show, which is what I think we're going to get in a week and a half with AJ and Edge.
Agreed. At least I
mean,
hope so.
I hope so, because like, you know, I thought their Mania match left a lot to be desired. And then when it was over, my first thought was, well, I'm excited for Mania Backlash because I'm like, I'm gonna get this. This is obvious. So this is a perfect.
Yeah,
this is a perfect thing for.
It should have happened in Mania, though, man.
It should, but
that's
it's
the
not.
issue I have with the booking is it should have happened in Mania.
But it's just not. But when you have the two shows and all the craziness of it, you're just not going to get it. And you're right. This match is one of those that falls in that line.
Yeah.
Where I remember going into Mania, it was a thing, but not a thing, because, like you said, you had the Brock. You had the Brock. You had all these.
Yeah, well, this is unfortunately when Punk was champion and he wasn't the main event.
He wasn't the big. He wasn't the right. They didn't. They weren't. Yeah. Hey, I mean, history tells itself. WWE was never fully sold on Punk.
No, just like
they never were.
Ryan.
And Punk was never probably fully sold on WWE, so it's a two-way street. So
for sure.
You know, and this just proves it. But I totally agree. That's the reason it's my number 11 on my list. Is this one?
Is that close? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was close. I only again I would have put it on if it wasn't for Rock and Cena. I just felt like I needed to say it.
Yeah, it's just it's
but yeah, it's great
in a street fight. Shit, I love so.
Yeah, and it was, and that was the Jericho that was my favorite Jericho.
Yeah, it was during that phase with the suit wearing and the asshole and like.
I was so into that Jericho.
Poured Jack Daniels, if I'm not mistaken, down Punk's throat.
Oh, that's right.
So switched out Jack Daniels for Punk.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Jericho was so hated during that time. I mean, legit. Fucking people hated that guy. Yeah, that was my favorite Jericho.
Yeah,
that's why this sticks out.
I've never had a Jericho that I was like, oh, that's the worst. But if I were to rank Y2J, what we have now, that time, it would definitely be that time number one.
Yeah, that's a great Jericho, and he's perfect foil for Punk.
Like that, even during that time, it was also the Shawn Michaels Triple H feud, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was
that ladder match at No Mercy. Check it out, folks.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I'm going to stick on theme here where we pick the same wrestler. This one might be a punt on your end, too. My number 6 is Jericho versus Triple H.
No, it's not on my list, that one.
Oh, yeah. That's the Hell in the Cell rematch. They wrestled that Mania, then they wrestled that Hell in the Cell.
Shit, I never... No. Was Judgment Day the following one for SmackDown? Mm-hmm. Oh, frig. Yeah, you know what? If I'd have clued into that, that would have made my list.
That's why, because it took me too long to understand, like, as a wrestling fan. It took me, when I was, like, rereading these, like, and I read, 15 articles with different matches that were trying to spark my memory. I rewatched some, and I got to a couple like that. I'm like, well, this isn't a rematch. It's like 3 pay-per-views later. And then I'm like, oh, wait, there was a brand split where they didn't have the next match. Judgment Day is the first rematch back. Yep. And good God, is that a great
You know what? Match. I love that match.
I'm do too.
Going to bump Triple H Lesnar to my honorable mention. I'm pulling a fucking Roca here. Doing that, and then I'm going to put it between Punk Jericho and Benoit Triple H.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, it's so good. I mean, it is so good. So much of it I remember. Again, it's nice to see Jericho come out of his shell of like, of like Jericho, where he
This,
gets rough.
this is another one where
rugged,
this is the match
tough.
we should have gotten, or at least the intensity, the feeling. Is
It's
what
so intense.
Yeah.
I still remember the barbed wire around the 2x4, and it gets stuck in Jericho's hair when they're on top. Like that's such a good image on
Yeah.
top of that cage.
The
And what they
pedigree
do
on top of the cage.
when they're on top of the cage, they do great stuff. I mean, when Jericho puts Triple H in the lion tamer or walls, whatever, like you think he's gonna win.
Yeah.
At that moment. This is a little bit of Triple H's dominance era at this time. That's right. I know. Trust me. I know. This is a Cactus Jack shirt, not a current Mick Foley shirt.
I was gonna say, is there something I'm missing here?
Oh, Foley's just atrocious. Do you follow him on Twitter?
Oh yeah.
Oh God. Did you see his big righteous thing about how he's going to leave Twitter because Elon Musk bought it?
Let him do whatever the fuck he wants. I don't care.
I know. People get really on Foley for who he is. No offense. I'm not even a big fan of Foley right now, but I'm still a big fan of Cactus Jack. So
Big Foley is one of those guys who's forever earned a fan here.
But don't get me wrong. Current iteration of Foley is not my favorite.
No, for sure.
My favorite person in the world. How he interjects himself into everything, and I'm just like God. Even the other day, what did he tweet? Dax, made that tweet about Bret Hart, and then all the dirt sheets posted that Bret got re-signed by WWE.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
tweet,
did he get re-signed or has he always been signed? I don't know. But either way, Foley retweets it and goes, well, if we're tweeting Vince McMahon, Dax, should I tweet him for my job back? And I'm like, oh God, go away, Mick.
See, here's the thing. The reason why it doesn't bother me is because he's not the only one that does it.
Oh man, he might be the worst offender of it, though.
Maybe, but I mean, to me, it's just like everyone else says. It's one of those. I don't care personally. It's just whatever. He's a grown man. That's all.
This is why I like you.
Yeah.
You're just like I don't have to give it.
But about this match, to go back to it, is this is Tim White's last match as a WWE referee because he suffered a really horribly separated shoulder during the bump where he got knocked from the apron to the cage.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that too when I saw him. I'm like, oh, that's right. This is Tim White's last match. Yeah. There's just so much good about it. They really beat the hell out of each other. Jericho gets that hard way in his arm early on from the cage. I mean, it looks brutal. Yep. And then just how they get out of the cage just by chucking Triple H. I think Triple H to the door. They do the table spots. It's a rugged match.
Yeah.
It is so good.
How they got to there, though, was a little interesting because Triple H wins the title and then he loses it to Hogan.
Yeah.
And then he gets traded to SmackDown when Jericho was on Raw originally. And there was a trade. Jericho surprises them and says, I'm your opponent. God. Which is probably why I never thought of it because, as we said earlier, it feels so much later.
It does.
Then,
It really does because you forget that brand split.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
Yeah, because that brand split was the brands, it was a pay-per-view every 2 months.
Exactly. Yep. No, I hear you. I understand the confusion. So I figured that's why I was looking. I'm like, Soda has to have this on his. Yeah. I'm like, this is a top 3 in Soda.
If I'm being honest, if I had thought about it, this probably would be higher, but because it's a compromise on my end.
We can make it higher later.
Yeah, for sure.
Your next one is this the I Quit? Or is this the submission match?
Angle.
Yeah, this is great.
Again, these two were like two peas in a fucking pod. Their Mania match was great. Technical match at the beginning, and then it just turned into a wrestling match after that. This one was a 30-minute iron submission match. I couldn't think of two better wrestlers to have that. For me, it's the third match that I have fondness for, which is the 2 out of 3 falls for the medals. Because I remember Benoit stealing the medals and putting them down his trunks and Kurt Angle flipping out, and it was a whole funny thing when I was 14. but yeah, no, these two had amazing chemistry. This is it's a great match. Benoit Angle, two of the best technical wrestlers ever in professional wrestling, in a submission match for 30 minutes.
Yeah, the thing I loved about it that I remember a lot is how Angle scores 2 or 3 falls very early on, just by catching Benoit. Benoit just like makes mistakes.
Yeah.
And Angle just throws him in the ankle lock and gets like he goes up like 3-0 or something like early. And then Benoit has to spend the next 20 minutes from behind. And I'm like, this is clever. Like you have Angle up like 3-0 right away, like in the first 7 minutes. And it's all because he's just a better wrestler. Like when it comes to getting on the, like he's Olympic gold medal.
Oh, he's on the better mat wrestler, but Benoit like was no slouch himself.
Right. But that's what the story's so good. It's just like, and then I love the fact that it ends in a draw.
Yeah, because it's just like that only feels right. Like these two went together like a meat patty and buns.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
We've never talked about it on the show yet, but at some point we will. I think it's my next list, so maybe I'll spoil what I have in mind for the next list. But that 2003 Royal Rumble match.
Yes, buddy, that's their best match.
It's their best match, and it might be either one of them's best match ever. It is so fucking good.
It's up there.
It's one of my favorite wrestling matches of all time. I just love it. Because my next top 10 list, I think, is going to be best matches on the Royal Rumble that aren't the Royal Rumble.
I love that because there's a lot of bangers. And
there's a lot.
I've got one that I gush about a lot.
There's like 3 that come to mind immediately, and this is one of them. So this 100% will be on that.
2 of them are from the same pay-per-view.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I might have 2 from the same pay-per-view too.
Yeah, Royal Rumble 2000.
Yep, Royal Rumble 2000 is a good one.
That's one I have the original DVD of, and I will rewatch.
Yeah.
It's my one of
it's great.
I put a top 3 favorite pay-per-views for me.
That's a great pay-per-view too. That Royal Rumble's spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That was your number 5, right?
That was my number 5, correct.
So my number 5, I know it's not on your list, but I liked it. I don't care what anybody says. It's Orton and Edge from 2 years ago. When they build it as the greatest wrestling, match, I was lost. It's probably the only match from the COVID era that I will ever maybe remember.
Really? Are you talking like that early COVID era?
Yeah, that like year where it was just a blank building, not even a Thunderdome yet. That match, I know they had a lot to live up to, and of course WWE, Orton and Edge did not pick the name. So what do you do? But it was 45 minutes, and it was awesome. And again,
one-on-one match back too.
Right. Yeah. And I wasn't a big fan of the Mania match. I really wasn't. I thought it was kind of slow, sloggy, and again, there was no crowd. What do you do?
Right.
But I really was into that second one where they build it, and them 2 dudes had to literally wrestle a match and tell people that this is the greatest.
Injured.
Edge like blew out his pack like in the first like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He wrestled 35 more minutes.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's so good. And honestly, like I don't know what match I will remember in the complete no fans other than that one. I just don't know. Besides, like, I mean, I don't even count the Boneyard match. Like, that doesn't count.
Actually, the one for me is the triple threat at WrestleMania for the tag titles, where it was just one member of each team.
I was just gonna say that's probably the other one that is in my head. I was thinking, I'm like, that ladder match I could probably throw in.
I remember this one. I enjoyed it, but the piped in crowd noise just didn't do it for me. Like, that's the one takeaway from that match that I was like, I could have done without. It was a good match. It's just,
I love it.
Minutes might have been a little long for me, but whatever.
Yeah, I know. For a guy who doesn't like long, trust me, I'm the guy who preaches it. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And a shocking turn of Dustyn events, I did not care about it. But usually I am the one, if a match goes 45 minutes, I'm like, please stop it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I loved it. Thought it was great.
Yeah, no, it was a dandy match. It lived up as best as it could to the name.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So this is probably the biggest surprise to ever happen. Backlash 09. Chris Jericho versus Ricky Steamboat.
Oh, I did not think of that at all.
Because think about it. The first, going into the first match, it wasn't a feud or anything, but everyone remembers Steamboat Jericho at Mania.
Yes.
And then why not? They gave them a rematch, and it blew everybody's expectations away. because Ricky Steamboat at that point had retired for what, 15 years? He didn't run. Yeah, and he walks into the match, and it's like the clock was turned back, and you're watching Ricky Steamboat circa 1992 against Rick Rude. Like, holy shit.
That Mania match is so frustrating for that reason. Like, I understand, I understand the whole shtick. Like, originally they were supposed to have Mickey Rourke, and then his agent, and then he opened his mouth, and his agent said, maybe you shouldn't wrestle.
Yeah.
And then so they had to 180. Like, why the fuck did they choose Jimmy Snuka and Piper? I understood the point because it was all Mania. It was all the whole thing. I get it.
Who were two of the people involved in the first Mania main event?
Okay.
I think that's the only reason, if I'm being honest.
It was the reason, but good God, Piper was at his all-time worst health. He was so bad.
And Snuka either.
Snuka could barely move.
And nobody knew what to expect from Steamboat.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew. And then this is definitely one of the times the chance you still got it was earned.
It was awesome.
And then, like I said, you fast forward to the next month, and my God, did they put on a wrestling clinic? And you never would have thought this from Ricky Steamboat. Unfortunately, health issues cut his comeback short, because rumor has it he was actually supposed to go on a little bit of a run.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then, his health and stuff like that, it is what it is. But hey, at least we got 1 3/4 great matches against Chris Jericho.
Yeah, and honestly, I love the Mania one because it does have that shocking feeling to it. You're shocked by it. It
holds up in that sense because it's magical. It's the true definition of a WrestleMania moment.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the matches too that I watch every couple of years.
Yeah.
Just because it's just so fun to see.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't even think of that. That one didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, I love that feud.
Good pick.
Yeah.
That was great. So that's interesting because I have 4 left, and I would have said all 4 that I have left are on your list, but they can't be. So that's going to be fun.
You never know. I still have 3 more.
Yeah, but I have 4, so that doesn't make interesting. Well, my number 4 is Austin Rock from 1999.
That is actually my number 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So close punt.
We'll talk about it.
So we'll just talk about it now since it's your number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as good as the other stuff. It's just not. I rewatched
it better, though, than the 15 match, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Like, it also helps. A fun match. This, very Vince Russo. This was, oh shit! Look at them go.
And this was also very much. Again, we've talked about it before. Balls deep in the Attitude Era.
Exactly.
I mean, when you watch it, this is what the dingy building, they just are starting to get the Titantron big.
This is the crowd. Yeah.
The crowd is hot. It's the first Backlash. Shane's the ref.
Yeah.
Like all the fuckery is there. All the McMahonisms
you would expect from 1999.
Of course. Yeah. And it's another one of the moments where you're just like, and I just love the Shane part where he flips off Austin when he's going to the pin. I'm
because by that point you were made to believe that Shane was booted from the corporation.
Correct.
And on outs with his family, and it turns out no, you were this whole time. Shocker.
Yeah.
This was a fun match. Like these two had great chemistry, but it was the right match at the right time.
It is. It just has, when you rewatch it, it's fun. It's fun. It's the fun of the Attitude Era. And then you have Vince rolling down and clotheslining Shane and tripping over his body, which is so Vince.
Oh, yeah.
Because Vince is so uncoordinated.
Yeah.
And then, just everything about it. And you're just like, this is just great.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, not long afterwards, The Rock got booted from the corporation.
Yeah. So it's a time capsule match. That's what it is. And it was like you said, going back to the beginning of the show, that was a big deal. They were rematching the biggest match in wrestling.
At that time, yeah.
At that time. Honestly. It's
the only time they've done it too. 3 Mania matches is the only time they've done the main event right afterwards. Or the rematch right afterwards.
Oh, and you'll probably never see it again.
For those 3 for sure.
Well, I mean for probably anything like that where it's 3 in a row and then or 3 kind of in a row. Yeah. All right, I figured that'd be a good one. So,
number 3. So, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Cena HBK from Raw. Is that cheating? That's not cheating.
I wouldn't say it was cheating. It's within
Okay, that's that very next night.
Yeah,
They do that hour and what?
I wouldn't have thought of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was I thought of 2. When you said this,
match?
it's the one where they go an hour though.
Okay.
They just go an hour. They were in the UK.
Yeah.
When you said this topic, I thought of 2 right away, and this was one of them.
Oh, okay.
It's so unreal that it's.
Oh, I remember.
It might be one of the greatest matches ever on television, not on pay-per-view.
It's still Cena's best match.
It is the ultimate. If anybody wants to tell you, which of course not us, anybody ever wants to say John Cena was not a good wrestler, bullshit. He is great in this. Yes, he's in there with Shawn, and Shawn is also top notch in this match. And the greatest part about it, Shawn goes over, and nobody was expecting it. Nope. The ending of the match is so good. I love it because they're so worn out. They're selling the fact that they were just in a match for 50, 55 minutes, dead tired, barely can wrestle, barely can move. Cena pushes Shawn. Shawn staggers, comes back. And I always remember it. Cena goes for the FU, and Shawn kind of gets out of it, and then Cena pushes him again, and Shawn just turns around, freaking kicks him right in the face. And I love it because Shawn just goes right for the cover.
Yeah.
It's so fast. It's almost like the kick evolves into him covering him. And then you couldn't believe it. You're like, holy shit. Because it was around that time where, like you said about Triple H, Cena wasn't losing. It was Super Cena. And it's so good. It was, it's unbelievable. And it still might be the greatest Raw match ever in 30 years. I don't know.
It's one of them.
It's one of them. I mean, it's top 5. It's so good. And again, I'm not a long match guy, but I remember watching it live and thinking, what the fuck is happening?
Right. And
this is unamazing.
Nowadays, you'd look at it and you're like, okay, these two are clearly main event and they're going on with an hour left in the show. But at that time, you weren't thinking about that.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. That's when WWE gets you. That is when they get you. Wasn't it? Well, help me remember. What was the gauntlet match that they had with Kofi and remember it was on SmackDown 6 months ago, maybe
6 months ago?
Was it that long?
Maybe it's longer. When you said because when you said gauntlet match and with Kofi and some of that, my mind went to third grade before 35, but Kofi wasn't in that match.
No, I was thinking of that one that was just pretty recent. And Jesus God, now my brain is to try to think at 10:30 at night.
Vaguely remember from last year.
But it was there was 6 guys in it, and then the last half hour was a match between Kofi and I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that's when WWE surprises you when they're like, we're just gonna give you.
No, that was before. Oh fuck! When was that? Kofi was trying to get into the Elimination Chamber before 35. That's what that was.
That's right. Oh god, it was so much longer ago. Jesus,
that's when everyone was like, "Oh shit!" That's when Kofi Mania was starting.
Right? Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, time frame completely off. But yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. And again, it's great.
Yeah, I love it when just wrestling in general does that, where it's just you unexpectedly get a really long match, and you're like, "Oh wow."
True. Well, okay. Well, now my top 2 might be your top 2.
Possible. Did we want to go back over the list now? Sure. Okay. Okay. So I moved my Triple H Lesnar honorable mention. It's no longer number 10. So my new number 10 is Batista Triple H from Backlash 05. 9 was Undertaker Batista from Backlash 07. 8 was Benoit Shawn Michaels Triple H from Backlash 04. 7 was the recent addition because of the whole time thing with this original brand split. Triple H, Triple H, Chris Jericho in Hell in a Cell from Judgment Day 18 would have been 02. Yeah. Number 5, Benoit Angle from Backlash 01. Number 4, Jericho Steamboat, the match that blew everyone away. And then number 3, Austin Rock from Backlash 09.
Yeah.
99.
99. Yeah, mine's Cena Rock 2. I got the Chavo and Kane Backlash 08, Hardy's Backlash 09, and I quit match. Benoit Angle in their submission match in 01. Triple H and Jericho is both Soda and I had from their Hell in a Cell Judgment Day. Orton and Edge from 2020. Austin Rock 1999, and Cena HBK on Raw.
Yeah.
Ooh. It's all right. Well, I think we have the same two.
It's
I
possible.
really do. I think
I
we
just
do.
it just depends on the order.
Mm-hmm.
But I think even the order might be right. So my number 2 is the match that should have happened at WrestleMania 16. Triple H versus The Rock.
We do not have the same two.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay,
well,
so
it'll be fun.
That's interesting. I'm curious now, but I know one of them is going to be the same. But no, what is interesting about this match is like obviously the feud going into WrestleMania, Triple H versus The Rock. Like that's where all signs are pointing. But then rumor has it that McMahon got cold feet, that weren't sure if Triple H was a strong enough star at that time. Just ridiculous in hindsight, a strong enough star to main event a WrestleMania. So that's why they brought in Mick Foley and all that stuff. So the following month, we get finally the match that should happen, Austin Rock, with Stone Cold Steve Austin in the corner of The Rock. That pop when Austin comes out is one of the biggest pops you'll ever hear. Because he just comes out and he just cracks everybody in the head with a steel chair, and The Rock finally dethrones Triple H to win the title. And then the next month he lost it again to him, and then The Rock won it back, and then he had it for a little bit. But yeah, no, this was right in that pocket of the McMahon Helmsley era. This is the Triple H that is still my favorite. Triple H was from late 99 to when he got hurt in 01. Yeah, all the McMahon shenanigans you'd expect. Everyone got involved. Linda came down with a recently fired Earl Hebner and reinstated him as the referee in the match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, all the buffoonery that we kind of loved.
Yeah. And like I said, this is the match we should have gone at 16, but we didn't. So, yeah.
Didn't matter. That's a great match. That's a good one. That's another one I did not think of.
Yeah.
That's a totally no. That Linda part when she reinstates Hebner is huge.
Yeah.
Like it's a great moment.
Linda, who's like
it's an amazing moment.
Linda, who's like rarely there, gets the biggest pops out of McMahon.
I know. People at that time. People loved Linda. I mean, loved her
because she was the only normal one.
She's the only one that gets a pop for standing out of a chair.
And it's still arguably one of the biggest pops, if not the biggest pop in WrestleMania history.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. That was one I just completely overlooked. That's a great one, though. Well, I'm surprised that didn't come across my mind at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great choice. Good job. So this one might be your number one, but I don't think it is now. It's Undertaker Edge.
No,
at One Night Stand.
That's not even on my list. See, for the same reason as you didn't think of Rock Triple H, I didn't think of it.
Yeah, that's the TLC match at One Night Stand.
Was that the TLC?
Mm-hmm. That followed WrestleMania that year.
24?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It was 2008's TLC match.
Yeah, but what was the pay-per-view?
One Night Stand.
I gotta look that up because I feel like that might have been later, but that just might be my recollection just being screwed up.
It might have been. Again, I don't know. When it gets to I'm pretty sure that was their rematch post WrestleMania. Yeah. Again, I think that fell into the brand split weird things too, or no?
No, it came after. It was in June, dude.
Well, but Mania's in April.
Yeah, but you had Judgment Day before that, and then you had Backlash before that. There was actually 2 different years in between.
But they didn't wrestle at those, though.
No, at Backlash.
Because that was the
right.
That's the rematch. That's the big rematch. That was the big push. They didn't wrestle between there. I don't remember why.
Yeah.
But I'm about 100% sure that they didn't.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, because Triple H was in the main event at Backlash. No, actually, at Backlash there was an Edge Undertaker match.
Was there really?
Yeah. So this is.
Then I picked the third one of the two. That makes more sense. That makes sense why you didn't think
this is a great match, but I'm like, that's a little off in the timeline, I think.
Yeah, that's a little off. Well, then I'll just choose yours as my number 2. Then I messed that up in my timeline. Because you had a great number 2. That's a great one. Then we both have the same number 1.
Backlash 04?
Isn't it 05 or is it 04?
Hardcore match for the IC title?
Oh, no, I don't have that.
You're kidding me.
No.
Wow. Okay, so my number one is the match that made Randy Orton, and he specifically, it's actually kind of funny that we were talking about this week, because he shouted it out on Monday. Backlash, Backlash 04, hardcore match for the IC title. Randy Orton versus Cactus Jack. And what is, I would say, is the best Mick Foley match I've ever seen. Like, I mean, over the match, not memorable.
Even over the Triple H match?
Nope. Sorry, correction.
Okay.
Screw that.
I was going to say
no.
The Triple H guy. No. He's going for the big.
It's still one of the best. Okay, let me reframe that. It's still one of the best Mick Foley matches.
It is.
Yeah, because at this time, Randy Orton was still the baby, not the baby face, but the baby face of Evolution. Like, he was still the pretty boy. He never really bled much up until this point. And this is the one when I was talking earlier about there was a match that the match at Mania wasn't a one-on-one with these guys. Instead, it was padded with The Rock and Ric Flair and Batista. And then the next month, we finally got the rematch. But the angle going into Mania was Mick Foley, Randy Orton with the punt down the stairs and the spitting in the face and yada, yada, yada. But to see Randy Orton take bumps onto thumbtacks and barbed wire, and just to see him bleed like that, and you're like, okay, you're getting respect for him now. He's believable as part of the crew. Like I said, like everybody says, this is the match that made Randy Orton. This is, I would say, the last great Mick Foley match. I enjoyed the I Quit match against Ric Flair from SummerSlam a few years later, but I think as an actual match, like as
I don't know, man. I mean,
in WWE, I didn't watch a lot of his TNA stuff. I can't speak to that.
But Edge and Foley was after this at Mania.
This was after that.
Was it really?
22. Oh no, shit.
No, it's not. Can't be.
No, you're right. You're right. I love that match.
I love it.
I personally would. Don't get me wrong. I love that match.
I love it.
Put this one over it though.
No,
because Edge was already WWE champ by that point. Like, he was already a star. This was a career. This is like the Wheel Yuta thing from a couple weeks ago. This was a career making.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't think of this being a rematch for Mania.
Yeah,
that's why. That's a great match. That is not what I think of. Maybe because the Mania match is so inconsequential.
Yeah, but
it didn't even cross my mind.
The feud of the match was Mick Foley, Randy Orton. That was the focal point. So
interesting.
Yeah, no. This is a match I will actually go back and watch quite a bit.
That's a great one. Mm-hmm. Well, interesting. That's surprising. I'm surprised my number one's not on.
My number one, and you're the one wearing the Cactus Jack shirt.
I know. I honestly, in my head, it didn't. I would have never thought of it being a rematch for Mania.
Yeah, that's one where I actually did wrestle because I'm like, oh, would that technically be cheating? But I'm like, no. If you include everything I said, like that was the feud in Mania and everything going into it. I would have just. It just would have never crossed my mind that way. And then those two were also, if I'm not mistaken, involved in the final pinfall in Mania. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, my number one is from Judgment Day 2005, and that's John Cena versus JBL.
Oh, shit. I didn't even think of that one.
It's the best. It's the best. I'm also going to throw it out there. I was live in person for that because that was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was at that show. But even take that out. Cena bleeds more fucking blood in this match than I've ever seen a human bleed.
More than Eddie?
I don't know. It's insane.
Because Eddie could have vein.
So did Cena. I remember after the show, I mean, there were so many paramedics in that ring when the lights went off. Because I think Cena admits it's the most blood loss he ever had too. Because it was insane. But either way, they beat the shit out of each other. Mm-hmm. And I really liked the Mania match too because it made Cena. But JBL was such a hot heel.
That made Cena dislegitimize Cena.
Exactly. That's why perfect soda. That's why I love it. Not only is it brutal, the blood is insane. It is, and again, I'm on record not being a blood guy, but for some odd reason, something about it because of what you just said, it kind of goes with your Orton Mick Foley one of like it really legitimizes Cena as this top guy who isn't just the pretty guy with big muscles.
Or the
he's beating up, or the rapper, or the guy in the jorts. He's a legit tough guy who's going to beat the hell out of this Texan who has just been one of the best heels that we've seen in wrestling for the last 5 years.
And this is when it transitioned from the Doctor of Thumbnomics to the chain. What's it? The chain.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it was because it was still goofy, right? People
yeah,
were like, okay, can he not be goofy?
and
This is it.
yeah,
This is it. This is the fully crowning. Like, to me, this match crowns Cena as the guy. I think that, I think you put it perfectly. This legitimized it after the big Mania moment. Because we've seen that at Mania. We've seen people get the moment at Mania that WWE's like, well, this is the guy, or this is who we want next. And you know what? Stuff doesn't happen always the
yeah.
way they want it to.
And what's funny is it happened twice that year because of, but also Batista Triple H.
Batista.
The second match, it was the third match that legitimized it.
Right.
But
I know that's always so interesting about that time how Batista and Cena did it all together at the same time.
very weird, isn't
Like
it?
that never happens. Like
Nope.
the two dudes that WWE both likes, usually one of them falls off.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course, at the end of the day, Cena became a monster star.
Yeah.
But still, like
I
they
think
both
Batista
still.
could have too if he wasn't so injury prone at the early
He
times.
was. Well, he also started. He was also how old when he started? He was
definitely in his mid.
God, he's 10 years older than Cena at least. But yeah, that I'm shocked Soda on that
I
one.
didn't even think about
Yeah,
that.
again, another one where Backlash was in between because of the brand split.
Exactly. It's the brand split that complete screwed
That
me over on that one.
Brand split is super confusing in this. Yes.
I will never understand the hate for JBL when it comes to a wrestler. Hey, say what you want about him behind the scenes. I personally respect him. I think he's actually one of the best interviewers around.
I think he was just fine as a wrestler. What are people talking about?
Well, yeah. He shouldn't have been champion that long. Are you kidding me? He was a great heel champion. Like everyone remembers the feud with Eddie. Everyone remembers the stuff with Cena. He was a big bully. He was Vince McMahon as a wrestler.
Right. And again, it's a hard thing to come by in wrestling. And it's still, God, we're 15 years later. It's still hard to find a dude legit hated that they're going to keep the belt on for over a year. I mean, it is. I mean, even Roman, like, Roman's not legit hated.
No.
He's a good looking dude who's a bad guy, who's kind of cool. So, like,
JBL is in that vein of like an MJF and other those guys. Is just like he's really good at making you boo him.
And again, another thing that's lost now, and I think social media probably has part to do with it. JBL didn't give a shit.
He still doesn't.
He's still. I know he still doesn't.
You can tell he's not as big a dick as the rumors you hear as he's gotten older. But yeah, he still doesn't give a shit.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
JBL, like I love the guy. I thought he was great as a heel champion.
So I thought he was awesome.
This was an example of the best gimmicks are just extensions of themselves, because JBL became a rich character because the real John Layfield got rich in the stock market like JBL did. So it fit. And the way he started that character as patrolling the fucking Texas-Mexico border. Little weird in context, hindsight now, but that's a great way to introduce the character, and it was just smooth sailing from there.
And it was right.
Were the matches the best? Not always.
But he doesn't need to be. No. He's a big bruiser.
He needed to be. He took his licks when he needed to be, like ECW One Night Stand, the first one that the beating he gave to Meanie, and then of course the chair shot he took. Still one of the hardest chair shots I've ever seen. And probably one of my favorite underrated WrestleMania moments was the Belfast Brawl at WrestleMania 24, where he freaking just hurled the trash can at
100%. That Belfast Brawl is awesome.
Fun. It's fun.
And him and Finley
stiff as hell, and
they stiff the shit out of each other in that match. And you can tell that they're working so fast because they obviously have like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
They literally are just like.
They literally threw everything. But what I love about the Hornswoggle spot, it's out of nowhere, and
it's awesome.
The way he falls, it reminds me of Bam and Jackass 3 with the hand.
With the hand, we're just
this is a full stiff board, but Hornswoggle, because of his size, manages to rotate.
Yes.
But yeah, no, JBL is very, very underrated. I loved his Legends of the JBL stuff that he used to do on the network. And I don't listen to it as much now because I don't listen to podcasts as much, but I will say Stories with Bradshaw and Briscoe is my favorite pure wrestling podcast.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, yeah.
Cool.
I'm a big JBL fan right here. Okay, so which ones do we have in common then? So we had Rock Triple H, which seems to be by default is going to be our number one because that's number one. Austin Rock, I had at 3. You had at
4.
Okay.
I think that's good at 2.
That's going to be the next one. And then the next common one was Benoit Angle.
Yeah, but we could probably put. I will take. I think we could put, just because based off the conversation, at 3 we could put JBL Cena, 4 Orton Foley, and then put 5. You want to go the other way around?
The other way around, just because I think people remember the Cactus Jack Randy Orton match more. I mean, it was used in the title entrance for a long time, and a lot of people still talk about it.
That's true.
Sure. Okay, and then we'll go Benoit Angle at 5.
Sure.
Then our next common one was Jericho Triple H.
Yeah, that's 6.
Okay, so what do you have left then?
Cena HBK on Raw. I think that should be next.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Great.
What do I? I think, you know what? I would put Punk Jericho after that.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. That was an honorable mention I had. That was my number one.
Oh, that was okay. Well, yeah, I can think everything else like none of us even thought of.
Yeah, everything else is just random stuff.
Yeah, because I've got Jericho Steamboat still.
You can throw that on. That's a good one to throw on. What are we at? What number are we at right now?
7.
We're at 7 right now.
Yeah. And then because after that I've got the triple threat: Undertaker, Batista, Triple H, Lesnar.
I think you could throw the triple threat on.
Yeah, I would put that probably at the bottom, like at number 9.
Yeah, I think number 10, an easy number 10 is Steamboat Jericho. Personally, I think that's an easy round out. And then like number 8, I mean, put the triple threat at 8. I would really champion Orton and Edge at number 9.
Okay.
Honestly, it's really good.
It was a good match. It just had things that took me out of it, but it was a good match.
It was. Is that our 10?
I think so. So okay, we should have written this down, folks.
I thought you were writing it down.
I thought he's. Anywho,
we are so good at this.
Oh yeah. Okay, so 10 was Steamboat Jericho. TJ. That's not 10. That's 100. There we go. Number 9 was the triple threat. Right?
Yes. No. Number 9, we did Orton's Edge.
Right.
8, triple threat.
8, triple threat. What do you prefer? Triple threat or 3-way dance is the name for those matches?
Whatever.
I'm more of a triple threat guy.
Yeah, me too.
And then 7, we had. Oh shit. 7, I think, was Jericho Triple H, wasn't it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, 3. Then what do we have? Oh, and then 6 would have been Punk Jericho, or was it the other way around?
It was the other way around.
The other way around. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Punk Jericho.
Yeah. Okay, so I will flip that. 7 Punk Jericho. 6 was Triple H Jericho.
Yep.
I love how there's actually, you can see there's like a few wrestlers that are consistent on here.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so 5 was Benoit Angle.
Yep.
3
4 was Cena JBL. 3 was Orton Cactus.
Yeah. Like I said, both great matches, but I just feel like the Cactus or
I get it.
Because
it's probably more iconic at the end of the day.
Yeah. That match actually could have made an event of the pay-per-view, in my opinion.
What was the main event on that one?
That was the triple threat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was the same one.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, then 3 we had Orton Cactus. 2 was Austin Rock.
Yes.
Yes, 2 was Austin Rock, and then 1 was Austin Triple H.
Yes. And we'll we'll have to tweet this out, Soda.
Yeah, I'll make a graphic or something on
the
show. So, alrighty. So I have it in the chat. Do you want to run down the list?
I absolutely can. Our list is beautiful and perfect. It is number 10, We got Ricky Steamboat, Chris Jericho. Number 9, Randy Orton and Edge. Number 8's the Triple Threat, HBK, Triple H, Chris Benoit. Number 7, Jericho, Triple H. Oh, no, wait. Number 7's Punk.
Yeah. Sorry.
Jericho. Yeah, I see that. Number 6, Jericho, Triple H. Number 5 is probably me and Soda's maybe favorite match of all of them is Benoit Angle for the submission. Number 4, yeah. Number 4 is, we probably could. Number 4 is Cena JVL from Judgment Day. Number 3 is Orton Cactus from Backlash, yes. And number 2 is Austin Rock. And number 1 is Austin.
No, it's supposed to be Rock Triple H.
Yeah, I was just going to say Rock Triple H.
They never wrestled each other after WrestleMania.
I was going to say, got it. Rock Triple H. Yeah, that's a great one.
That is a really
I like it. That was a good list.
Yeah. I think we've got something here with doing these lists once a month. I think
they're fun.
I think we do fit like a Matt knows to broke when it comes with this.
Yeah. Well, now it's what's your favorite non-Royal Rumble matches for Royal Rumble? That's next month.
Oh, come on. Based on our conversation earlier, I think everybody knows what mine is.
It's going to be fun. That's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so yeah, next week is going to be just our monthly wrap-up, if I'm not mistaken.
We probably need a good monthly wrap-up. I myself probably need a good monthly wrap-up, so it'll be a good one. Just to see what's all been going on. And a Backlash preview, since we'll be right before Backlash. True,
at that point, we'll have a better idea of what the card is.
Yeah. I'm excited for RK Brew and Usos, though, buddy.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
That's all I need.
Take it, you think?
I don't know. We'll talk about it next week.
Well,
I need another week to think.
Yeah, right now, I'll mention why one of the reasons why I think that might lean that way off, but we'll do it off the air, and I'll tell it on air next week.
All right, sounds good.
So yeah, we're almost at an hour and a half, so we might as well just start wrapping it up. And Dustyn, where can everybody find you?
At Dustyn Dubuque on Twitter. That's where you can find me. That's what I do. And again, maybe some more wrestling stuff coming in the future. We'll find out. Yeah, what about you, Matt?
So you can find me personal Instagram at soda_the_saxman. You can find me on here every Wednesday night. You can also find me on Rewind the Tape on Thursdays. And you can find me on not Northern Consultations, that's an old show. Northern Countdown on Saturday mornings. But this week we're going to be doing it Sunday because I'm going to work on Saturday. And you can also find me Saturday afternoons on the Dropkicks over on the Let's Get Ready Network. We are taking this week off. We will be back next week with that.
Beautiful. All the things.
But definitely keep an ear out to mine and Dustyn's social medias for any fun announcements, probably in the near future.
Yay.
So on behalf of myself and Dustyn, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. Leave in the comments, what are your favorite WrestleMania rematches? Like, theoretically, if you expanded, there were other matches with other wrestlers that took place further in time that you could count as well. But yeah, throw in the comments what you think they are, because it's always great to talk about the wrestling of the past, because, I mean, that's what we grew up on, and that's when it was the best.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, on behalf of myself and Dustyn, we will see you next week as we step in between the ropes in the middle of the squared slice, folks. We'll see you next week. Bye.